used to be at a Tallahassee quarterback club. There you go. Yep. Where do you want it? There?
Prior to turning the program over to Coach Beamer, I just wanted to talk a couple of minutes, actually a minute or less, about Frank Beamer, the gentleman. There are many who say that what he did off the field is equally important, or even more so, than what he accomplished on the field. He's arguably the most important person in the almost 150-year history of Virginia Tech. Following the tragic shootings at Virginia Tech in April of 2007, Coach Beamer and his wife Cheryl served as the face of the school, helping students, staff, and administrators overcome the tragedy. He attended the convocation the day following the tragedy and later spoke to the family members who lost loved ones that fateful day. When Coach Beamer was asked at the news conference announcing his retirement how he would like to be remembered, he said, "He is who he is, honest, caring, and respectful." Coach Beamer's wife Cheryl said, "I know he wanted to win a national championship in '99. I've told him you've already won one. Your national championship is the type of man you were, and that legacy of how you treated people and the way these kids loved you." But the last thing I want to say is a quote from Jeff Snook. Now, you all don't know who Jeff Snook is, but Jeff co-wrote Frank's autobiography called "Let Me Be Frank." And I think this sums up Coach Beamer amazingly well. Beamer is just the type of guy to make coffee for the office secretaries, move his car so an elderly person could have a better parking spot, take a campus visitor to lunch, buy a gift card for a staff member who became engaged a day earlier, drive 80 miles round trip to spend an hour with a friend dying of cancer, stand up 5 times during dinner to have his picture taken with fans, smiling and laughing each time as if he had known those strangers for a lifetime, or tip a waitress 50% of the bill because he overheard her say she was struggling to pay off her student loans. You know what makes the man special? I witnessed all of those things in one day, February 11th, 2013. Coach Beamer, thanks for all you've done. It's truly an honor to welcome you to Tallahassee.
Thank you. Okay, I had a great day. Bob and I have been over to the football office, watched practice, just been treated great. This is by far my best day in Tallahassee. I've come here several times and haven't really liked the way I've been treated. I was hoping Coach Bowden would be here tonight. I couldn't ever figure out if the guy was putting me on or not. I don't know if y'all remember, this is back when I first started at Virginia Tech. We came down and played a game over here in the stadium. We was having a hard time winning the ball game. That's when they were ranked in the top 5 for about 10 straight years. And I did a remarkable job. And we got in there and started playing, and the game went back and forth. We'd go down the field and score, they'd go down the field and score. It was just, the lead changed about 5 or 6 times. I mean, I was trying to figure out what's happening over here. You know, we don't usually do that. And then in the end, they scored in the last couple of minutes to go ahead. We go back down the field. We're throwing to the end zone to win the game with 10 seconds left. Didn't make it. You know, just heartbreaking. Coach Bowden come walking over and he said, "Frank, wasn't that the best ball game?" I said, "Well, it might have been for you. I'm over here throwing up. Sick as my dog." And, but I think that was just kind of, he's sat over there and enjoyed the game. And but I always had a lot of respect for him, and what he did in college football. I'm not sure the success for as many years consistently as they had. I'm not sure that's going to happen again. I got several stories. They weren't funny at the time, but they are kind of now. But I remember we was playing over here, and Mickey had all those great defenses, and I tell you, I watched a bunch of film, and they get inside the 10-yard line, and nobody was picking up. You know, I mean, they'd stop you right in the tracks and knock you back in the direction you came from, so now we get down there, and it's 3rd and 1 on the 8, and I've never done this in my life, but I was hoping we'd get stopped for a 4th down play because we had a fake field goal that we thought had better chance of scoring than run against that defense. So sure enough, we got stopped, stunned, faked the field goal, and went in the end zone. So first time I've ever pulled, please don't get a first down. Actually, special teams has been big at Virginia Tech, and I really got it. It all hit me very clear in the face right over here in the stadium again. Mickey had all those good athletes up front, and here they come, and they're all trying to block all of them. And daggone, if you don't block a kick, it's a close game at time, and go to the end zone. And then we come right back, and we need to get a first down. We don't. We punt to him. Deion Sanders takes it back to the end zone. So the game's broke up right there with about 2 minutes. And I figured then that special teams is the way to go. So that's really, after that, we started trying to do a lot of things just like Florida State. So we kind of got it from there. I'll never forget, we played down in Orlando. I don't know if y'all remember when we played Florida State in Orlando. Y'all remember that? They, our athletic director, Dave Brand at the time, said, and we needed money. We got in there and we needed money. We were having a hard time winning the game. But he comes to me and said, look, they in Citrus Bowl, people want to pay us a lot of money to go down there and play Florida State. And, it's our home game, but, it's going to be on a neutral field there in Orlando. And I said, I really don't want to give up a home game. We need to get some wins. Those people up in the stands, they're not getting any friendlier up there. And he said, nah, we talk, and now the money's getting so great. And I said, all right, we'll go play. But you're sure, it's a neutral site, right? Yeah. So we got in there, and I'll never forget walking out of the dressing room. And our mascot, I don't know if you've seen him, but it's Gobbler, and he walks around kind of like this and wobbles. So my gobbler comes out and walks by me, going, and then this daggone horse came out. I said, no, this is not right. And then I looked up in the stands, and all the Florida State, what is it, Garnet Go? Yeah. I saw a bunch of them. And I said, man, I'm not sure about this. This looks like it looks like a Florida State crowd to me. And then when he came out and that horse got going and cheering started, I said, I think we screwed up here. And we did. We screwed it up. But that's some of my remembrance of Florida State. Y'all have had a great program here, and again, I was very impressed with how they've treated me here. But the facilities, it's a first-class operation. Great representative for the Atlantic Coast Conference, and so I'm proud to have the association we've had over the years and had the relationships. I'm going to, I was in one place for 29 years, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, if you got some qualities, maybe you should think before you start changing your coaching staff. And we've had one down at LSU. I never believed for a second we was going to have one at Florida State, but because of the one at LSU, y'all don't get that joke, do you? But anyhow, they had changed down at LSU, and then had another one somewhere in Florida, I think. But you know, after 2 games, after 3 games, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But I'm also going to talk about, you know, staying in one place for 29 years, and it's just a hard thing to do anymore. And it's not good. The money's gotten bigger. They won't change, or they want results quicker. You know, it's a tough thing to do. But I outlasted 4 presidents, 3 athletic directors. You don't usually outlast those guys. And but the main thing that I go on is continuity provides stability. And I think anytime you change in a program, there's going to be an adjustment to the change. Now, how long it takes depends on what change you made, who made it, who you brought in, you know. But there's an adjustment period. I believe that with all my heart. And you just don't find many people that's going to stand behind the coach, thick or thin. You know, it's just not change is kind of the way things are going right now. If it's not right this week, you know, let's change. And you know, and then even LSU last year, when they supposedly was going to fire their coach after the game, he goes and wins a game, and then they come back and decide not to fire him. If that was the story, I'm not sure. But just, you know, you think about that. When I think about that, all the money that you're talking about, firing this staff, paying them off, bringing other staff in, you know, and all the assistant coaches, they're going to bring trainers and equipment guys and weight room guys. I mean, all the money involved, we made the decision over one game, you know, according to the way it came out. You know, whether they won that game or not, when they did, you know, everything was okay. So things are happening quickly. I look at the NFL. You guys know what the NFL stands for, right? Not for long. Since 2005, 65% of the NFL coaches have been fired. Now think about it. 2005, 65% of those coaches have been fired, and none of them lasted longer than 3 years with their team. You know, 3 years. You know, at the same time, since 2005, there's only 2 head coaches that are still with their team. Go to number, you got it. There you go. I forgot my guy back there in the back. There's only 2 coaches that are still with the team. Go ahead and hit it. Do y'all know who it is? Bill Belichick, and who else? Marvin Lewis. All right, with the Bengals. All right, the Raiders and the Browns, who haven't been exactly too successful, have had 15 different coaches, head coaches, over that same period of time. Now think about that. The one team that I think is really a good example of continuity and that builds stability is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's no coincidence there that they've had the most Super Bowl victories also. But they've only had 3 coaches in the past 47 years. 3 coaches. Name them for me. What's number 1? There you go. Hit it. Hit there you go. Yeah, Chuck Noll, right? And then the next one, Bill Cowher. And do y'all know he had 2 straight losing seasons and in pro football, and they kept him, and then next year he won the Super Bowl. Think about that. And then the last one, Mike Tomlin, you got it. 3 coaches, and they've all won a league championship. So it's pretty amazing. Continuity leads to stability in an organization, and if you have the people at the top now, and you've got the right guy, you know that, you know, rather than saying, okay, if we lost the game, we got to have a change. I think you should be looking at what are the qualities of this organization, who's leading it up, and do we have the right guy? And if we do, let's be patient. You know, I lasted at Virginia Tech, and about that 6th year it was 2-8-1. Thank goodness they didn't have enough money to fire me. And thank goodness I didn't make many enemies those first few years. But I think they could see that I was doing it the right way, that I was concerned about our kids graduating, the academics were important, that we were coaching them hard. They weren't going to be screaming and hollering and cursing on the field. It was going to be coach these kids up, encourage them to get better. So I think I was fortunate I had an administration that could see, hey, we're on the right track. We just got to give the guy enough time to get it done. These things there, these integrity, communication, organized. I've had a little time on my hands here lately, so I've given this a lot of thought. I've done a lot of speeches on leadership, but I want to narrow it down real quickly so I could shorten this speech for you guys, because y'all been here a long time already. But I said, you know, I think it gets down to three things. And I'm kind of a people person. You know, I'd rather know what you're made of and look at you and talk to you rather than what your potential is. I'd rather know, you know, the people, what are your qualities. And so I put it in those three categories, and those three things there equal continuity, which equals stability. Hit it. You get a drink of water while you're hitting it. Integrity. I start out with that one. And, you know, and then I think no matter what profession you're in, I think those are the quality you got to have. And then you want your people. I'll say this. You want your people around you to have the same qualities. And I learned that when I first started Tech. I had some good coaches, but I didn't have people quite right in place. I had to make some changes, and then I learned it's the people around you and how they respond is the ones that make you as the head of an organization. So, you know, I believe that you got to have good people around you. I think my career is you talk about football, but there's one game that I think, and you think about this now. You think about all the games you see on TV: football, basketball, soccer, baseball. And there's one thing in common, and it's you got an official on the field. Try to hit that one time. No, we got an official. We don't have that official up there, but I thought we was going to get it. But you got an official that keeps the game going fair and square and marking off penalties. But there's one game that they call the penalties on themselves, and that game is golf. And it always kind of amazed me that golf, you kind of find out so much about a person. I said, you let me play 4 hours with a guy, and I'll tell you a lot about this guy. You know, if you cheat in golf, you'll cheat in life, I promise you. If you're going to cheat your buddies in golf, you're going to cheat in life. And so you find out how you react when things don't go your way, how you react when things do go your way. Are you respectful of people? You get a bad break? How do you come back from it? There's just so much you find out in a game of golf. And this guy right here, his name is Jason Millard. And Jason was the All-American in military for the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. He did this in Memphis, Tennessee. And the biggest thing, you know, guys don't know, is the U.S. Open, one of the 4 big tournaments in the United States. So he was so excited, he just qualified. He was on his way to Pinehurst, going to play in the U.S. Open. Stopped the car, turned around, went back home about 50 miles into the trip. Called the USA Golf Association and said, I'm going to just qualify myself. I think I could have signed an incorrect scorecard. And what happened? He was qualifying in Memphis. He was on the 17th hole. There wasn't a camera around. There was not a crowd around. It was just he and the golf ball and the sand trap and his partner. And his partner was over on his opponent, the guy who's been with us, over on the other side of the fairway. And he said, but I don't know if my club touched the sand before I hit the ball. There's a little indentation there. And he said, you know, I don't know if it was there before I dressed the ball. I don't know. You know, I don't know if my club, hit the ball, and if you did, it's a 2-stroke penalty. He said, you know, I'm not sure. And like I said, there wasn't a camera in the house. So, you know, there was nothing there. But he called and disqualified himself from the biggest tournament you could play, probably for an amateur in the United States. And he said, you know, I just couldn't get it off my mind. You know, I kept going over and over, didn't I? And I feel much better. You know, he couldn't get it off his mind. So I think that's a great example of integrity, don't you guys? Yeah. Let's go to the next one. Communication. I'm a big believer in saying what you mean what you say. Boom. Right there. I don't know what I said, but I know I meant what I said. Say what you mean. But I say with my coaches, say exactly what it is. That kid needs to understand what you just told him. You know, don't leave it out there in a gray area. Get out there and say it. And you know, the way the world is right now with the email and the texting, you know, that's how people communicate right now. And what I've always told my coaches, when you're trying to solve a problem, trying to solve an issue, the best thing you can do is get all the parties in a room, look each other in the eye, talk to each other, and communicate. And you've got a better chance. But what happens these days, people are texting and they're hiding behind that machine and you get it on the other end. Or email with the computer. So, you know, I think we're missing that. You know, get in a room and talk to each other. I've always said that if when you communicate, talk to the guy that can solve your problem. If you're going to talk to this guy, get somebody that can solve the problem. Now, if you don't do that, if you're just over here moaning and groaning, you're just complaining. And that's not a good way to communicate. Talk to the person that can solve the problem. And I'm not much on boxing. There's that guy that you guys hide behind. Give me a hit it again. There's Muhammad. You know, that's about the only boxer I really know, to be quite honest with you. A couple more. Rocky Martian and so forth. But I'm not interested so much in the boxer here as I am the corner man. And you guys, there you go. Do you guys know about a corner man? And it kind of interests me here because this guy has got to know everything about his boxer. He's got to know the flaws. He's got to know, you got to get him right when he comes over in between rounds. The guy's looking for him advice when he's getting beat up. Yeah. But the one thing that corner man and that boxer has to have is trust that corner man. And so to me, the corner man is a guy that, you know, I ask you, do you have a corner man that who do you go to? And who do you trust when you're looking, when things are not quite right? When you're looking for advice. And then the other side of it, I'd say to you, whose corner man are you? Do you have people that look to you when they got a problem, or do they trust you when things are not quite right? So that corner man, to me, is pretty important. Being organized is the last one. There we go. And I'm a firm believer. We started out in the fall of the year. The first thing we'd do when we came back off summer vacation, we'd all get in a room, and everyone, the trainers, the equipment guys, the strength and conditioning coach, the academic people, the secretaries, everyone in our office. And number one, I want them all to know they're important for the whole operation. We're all in this now. We got assistant coaches coach and trainers train and all that, but it all goes together to being successful. And then the other thing I wanted is to make sure everybody knew their responsibility. I'd put it right there on a sheet. Bud Foster, defensive coordinator. These are your responsibilities. Meet when Coach for defense and Coach Beamer has to call a meeting, whatever. Call defensive play. But it would go right down the road for each guy and then know. And I wouldn't do that because I'm a big believer you don't assign two people to one project. Because if you do, You don't know who to get or blame or talk to if something goes wrong. But on the other side, you don't know who, if things are going right, you know, who's, and something going wrong, okay, was it that guy or was it that guy? He said, well, I thought he was going to do that. Now I thought so I don't go down that route. Always one person responsible. Now he may have people under him, but if it's wrong, I'm coming to see you. If it's right, I'm going to praise you in front of the group. And I'm going to tell you this is something I learned later in my coaching life than earlier. My wife got me. I always kind of assumed that, you know, when kids did well, they knew they did well, and I knew they did well, and, you know, you didn't have to say something. But my wife said, well, you like to be praised, don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. And she said, well, those kids are the same way. And she's right. You know, and I tell you, the last part of my career, I went out on my way. If something was really good, I made sure I said it in front of the group, said it to the guy, and got it taken care of that way. And I think that's a good thing within our organization, to know that I work hard, I put everything into it, I get it done right, and that the boss people know. I think that's important. And in this organization, you know, it's a very detailed. Hit the button there one time. I keep forgetting in the back. There's my guy that kept me organized, John Deland. Hit the next one. You know, there's my staff. I always had a good staff. We were always well organized. And hit the next one. Our football team knew, here you go. My whole year was mapped out. You know, I take the whole year, what's going to happen, what days we're going to work. If we had an off week, what days we're going to recruit, what days you can go home, you'll be off, be with your wife. I wanted it all mapped out. I didn't want any surprises. And it would take an act of Congress for me to change a meeting. I mean, once we set it, you know, we staff meeting was every day at 11 o'clock, never changed. I don't care what happened. We're 11 o'clock, because, you know, when you stay on a schedule like that, number one, you get things more efficiently done, and everybody knows what's going on. And number two, I think we gave the book also to the wives, so they would know when they're off and when they're going to come home and so forth. So, you know, the whole organization was on the same page. I've also said, you know, you could be going in the wrong direction, but if everybody's going in the wrong direction, you got a chance. Now, what's the problem? If one part of the group's going that way and part of the group's going that way, you have no chance. So I was kind of in that belief. And then the other thing, it's not the time. I wanted to get this in there too. It's not the time. I'm going to hang into that one just a second. It's not how much time you spend at the office. It's what you get done in the time. You know, some coaches come in and say, okay, I want you here at 8 o'clock in the morning and you leave at 11 o'clock at night. And I was never like that. I mean, we usually had a time we came in, so we all got there and got going. But I was one of those guys that said, take care of the little things, the big things will come. So take care of every detail that you got. And then when you get it done, go home. Put your kids to bed and spend some time with your family. And we did that, and I really believe, I never was a guy that people, some coaches coach out of fear. You better get it done or this is going to happen. I want our coaches to like coming to work, enjoy being there, work like heck while they're there, get things done, and then get on home. And I think we ended up winning a lot of ball games with that philosophy, so I'm proud of that. So there it is, integrity, communication, being organized. And it's interesting, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots, they're the two teams that have the smallest staff in pro football. And it kind of goes back, don't give two people the same thing. Some of these guys have got all these guys right now, and I say, well, what do you do? And what are you doing? That dude guy's doing the same thing that guy's. You know, it never made sense to me. But it's kind of the team that has the most Super Bowl wins and the most regular season wins are team with the smallest coaching staff. The Steelers have the smallest, and they're followed by the New England Patriots. So again, I think it's get your work done, know what you're doing, and you don't have to have a budget. You have to have an organization, and they know exactly what's required and what they're supposed to be doing. So that's my deal right there: integrity, communication, being organized. I think the wins will come. The wins will come, and you got continuity, and that's going to be stability. And I'll say this: if you've got a coach, because I know, you know, that's kind of, I know 2 offensive coordinators have been fired already, and but if you got people in your organization, or if you got coaches in your organization, and they have those 3 things right there, all right, then I'd give it time. You know, I think if you change, you're going to have to adjust to change. So if I had those qualities, I would give it time and see if we couldn't get this thing back on track. So that's my message tonight. Do we have time for a couple of questions or not?
Yes, questions.
What time y'all go to bed now? Oh, okay, 10 o'clock. Yeah. Anybody got a question? Okay.
Coach, your special team success is legendary, and most of us involved in high school coaching certainly read your books and tried to follow everything and went to your clinics. But aside from hard work, what did you attribute why Virginia Tech's special team play for so long was so good?
You know, it's really simple, in my opinion, is you gotta get your best players on the field. You know, Deion Sanders was out there on the field, and all those, they didn't substitute a lot. Florida State, they had all those great athletes, and they kind of lined them up, and here they came. And so getting the best people to play is number one. Because in special teams play, it's all open field. It's, you know, you tackle in an open field. You're trying to block a guy in an open field. You can't take a bunch of slugs and be good in special teams play, I promise you. So, you know, good athletes and get them on there. We really started early, and I tell you, my last few years, starters on offense, defense, they were coming up to me and wanting to play special teams, because I convinced them, and I believe it with all my heart, I'm helping your NFL career. Because if you're one of those guys and it's right there to the cut line, and you're on the cut line, if you can play special teams, it might save you for the NFL. You've got something a quality that, and if you played on 2 or 3 special teams, then Nick Sorensen, a guy played for us, stayed up in the NFL for about 5 years because he's played special teams. He was the guy that called it on punt protection, the whole deal. So, you know, getting your best players, to me, that's the secret. And a lot of people try to give special teams, you know, all right, I'm going to take these guys. Now, I think there are some opportunities. Get some people that deserve to get on the field, get them out there and let them play. But, you know, I think what happens when you do that is sometimes you're missing out on who should be out on the field. Now, you know, if I could get a guy in there in a role and he could do it as well as a starter on offense or defense, I definitely got him out there. If a guy just busted, he deserved to get on the field, I definitely got him out there. But I always tried to make it a priority to play special teams. The other thing we did is making it important. I think if the head coach is heading it up, that makes it important to the team. We stopped practice right in the middle and did all our kicking work. A lot of people come out there early to do it before the practice and then or stay after the practice. I would never do that. I would never. Because what you're saying is your kicking game is not as important as your offense and defense. You do offense, defense, do practice. Well, why would you do kicking during practice? You know, it's important. So that's that deal. It's good to be there. Okay, thank y'all very much.